The world has witnessed an era of the Tinder swindler, the guy who scammed millions from women until Netflix made a movie about him. Well, this is no other story but the famous Japanese young self-proclaimed dating scammer who was selling how-to guides on defrauding sugar daddies through paid dating. Mai Watanabe leveraged her social media fame to sell $300 ebooks titled Textbook for Sugar Babies and the Right Profile and Magical Words to Make Men Pay, where she sold millions of copies. Imagine you're 18 with no skills, no education, stuck in a dead-end job, and someone told you that you needed to make $1 million in a year. Where would you get the money from? For Mai, the answer was obvious. From men, of course. Mai developed an incredibly effective method for scamming money out of lonely men and released it later as a guide to help other women get rich too. She sold this course too and made millions of yen. Her tactics spread like wildfire on social media. Mai's magic system is genius. Pay attention so you don't become a victim, because the number of women and men who bought her course are so many. Now, since her story went viral in Japan, their next target is foreigners, mostly using dating apps, and the reviews on her website show that many foreigners have fallen prey to these young, beautiful-looking Japanese scammers. Her scam worked in stages. S. Selection of targets. Not every guy is a good target, so if you don't choose the right ones, you're going to waste a lot of time. Broke losers are out. You've got to find a guy who's good at making money, but bad at holding on to it. The perfect mark is a guy who's lonely, isolated, and has no hobbies. A guy who has no meaning in life, who's not fulfilled. Ideally, he has nobody who relies on him and no interactions with women. The reason Mai knows this is the best type of man to target is that she used to work in what the Japanese call the night industry. So this is how she managed to research this. Made sure to know this worked. One evening, she desperately texted every guy on her contact list. Of course, these girls have a large repertoire of men contacts due to working in the night industry. She sent a message asking for money, and the only reply she got was from the loneliest, most unfulfilled guy she knew. When it comes to the kind of guy you should avoid, Mai recommends staying away from playboys and F-boys, the kind of guys who are self-centered and only interested in physical relationships. As I mentioned earlier, you want a guy who's unfulfilled and lonely, so you should avoid guys who have a fulfilling life. And you've got to avoid guys who are full of themselves. Guys who flash money around may seem like ideal targets, but they're savvy and self-centered, making them difficult to manipulate. Now that you've selected your target, next step. C. Cultivate trust. If he doesn't trust you, why would he give you money? So, you've got to make him trust you. The best way to do that is to make him feel like you're his girlfriend. That means texting him all the time, every day, when you wake up, throughout the day, before you go to sleep. You need to make him feel like he's special to you. The next thing you've got to do is learn everything about him. Stuff like, what time does he wake up? What does he do on his days off? What was his childhood like? If you skip this step and try to extract money without making him fully trust you, he'll get suspicious and you will fail. Mai gives exact messages she used on guys. Stuff like messaging you first thing in the morning has become the highlight of my day, and it feels so nice to say goodnight to you. Okay, now that you've got him to trust you, it's time for the fun part, extracting cash. To do this, we will start by arousing concern. Basically, you need to make him think that you're in danger and that the solution is for him to give you some money. Mai refers to this part as casting a spell on him. To start, abruptly stop texting him for 2, 3, or even 4 days. He'll get worried about you and probably spam you with messages. Don't open them. Hold out. Once he's ready, find a time when you think he's home and ready to have a conversation. Say something like, "I'm sorry I didn't message you, but I was too embarrassed to tell you what I've been dealing with. I'm being chased by debt collectors." Don't elaborate. Make him ask for details and slowly trickle them out to him. Make sure you're ready with your story. Prepare all the specific details beforehand. For example, "I'm behind on rent." He'll say, "Since when? 2 months ago. Why haven't you paid? The economy, medical bills, whatever. What happens if you don't pay? I could get evicted, or my parents might find out." If you've done things correctly, you now have a trusting guy who's sympathetic to your financial troubles. Now, is it time to ask him for money? No, not yet. He is the fish you need him to be hooked on the hook before you pull it out. Instead, the next step is to mention solutions that don't really solve the problem. These are things like, "I've been talking to someone who says he'll lend me the money, but he's connected to the Yakuza. Obviously, your guy doesn't want you to get money from the Yakuza, but he's probably not ready to pay yet. So his first instinct will be to come up with all kinds of solutions that get him off the hook. Things like, "Have you considered speaking to a lawyer?" Or, "Have you asked your parents for help?" Now the fish has seen the hook, but still has not yet tried to pick the bait. Be ready with answers. Things that make him feel bad like, "Lawyer, I told you about this because I trust you. I don't want to tell anybody else." This will make him feel special and trust you more. At this point, if you've done everything right and he trusts you, he will offer to pay your debt. Mai has a rule where you have to refuse the first time, but eventually give in and accept his money. Success. Wait, it's not over yet. The next part is crucial. You need to make him feel like a hero. Step 3. A. Aftercare. Mai calls this part aftercare, and she stresses, seriously, that this aftercare is the most important step. You need to make him feel like a white knight who saved the princess. Say things like, "Thank you so much. You've given me a place to sleep tonight." Give him a breakdown of exactly how you spent the money. Hint at your romantic future together, and tell him what horrible things might have happened if it wasn't for him. You need to make sure that he feels warm and fuzzy about giving you the money. If you skip this step, who knows what could happen. But if you did it correctly, this sets you up in a perfect position to end or repeat. Unfortunately, one of her students, 19 years old Ieda Miku, missed this important step after scamming 2 men for an amount of $100,000. She sent a message to both men. Miku has been kidnapped, and blocked them. When 2 men bring such an absurd story to the Nagoya police within 1 month, they start to connect the dots. They quickly tracked down and arrested Miku, found the guide on her phone, and then arrested Mai for aiding and abetting. In her 4-year career, it's likely that Mai scammed over $2 million from desperate men. This put Mai's face on the news, which made quite a few of her past victims realize they were scammed and go to the cops. Because guys were finally coming forward, they were able to arrest Mai 2 more times over the next couple of months. One of the most interesting things they found after arresting her is that she never had any savings. She was essentially living paycheck to paycheck. Every month she was spending all of the money she received. You might ask, on what? Host clubs. A host club is a place where women pay for the company of charming men. Hosts give them attention and entertain them with conversation and alcohol in a controlled social setting. Host clubs can be cheap if you go once in a while. The first visit is heavily discounted, but if you become a regular, they become really expensive. In Mai's case, she was a bit more than a regular. She was nicknamed Mother Teresa. On November 3rd, Mai appeared in court. She pleaded guilty to both aiding the scams with the guide and the scams that she did herself. The only new information we learned during the trial is that she has a husband who's Vietnamese. She hasn't been sentenced yet, and there's another trial coming in December. Do subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories.